I'm first. Golden rings, you ain't cold as me. On my worst day, I'm frozen dreams. Big as overseas, never quit like some anime. Watch your noses bleed, cause I'm hot.
All right, guys, let's get into it, guys. Purple Label. I mean, the purple of death, restored. People hate it, but it's not as bad as you really think. And I'm gonna tell you why. Even your most experienced collectors will go for a purple label and not always a blue or a yellow label or even a green label. But before we get into that, if you like what you see and you want to see more, click that subscribe button, ring that notification bell, so every single time I drop heat like this, you guys are the first ones to know. And I appreciate the subscribes, the views, the likes that I do get. I'm appreciative of everything, guys. Honestly, we're building the channel as it goes. It takes time. It's not a one-hit wonder, but with dedication, hopefully I'll get there. But let's get into purple label. What does it mean to, what does a purple label mean for those that don't know? Purple label from CGC, CBCS doesn't do purple label. I don't know what label CBCS does. I want to say it's still blue, but they still have the restoration notes on the label like CGC would do. But specifically we're talking about CGC because that one is definite. Like there's a difference between a blue, green, yellow, and purple label. So purple label is restoration. Anything on the comic book that's been restored, whether the pages were married, a new staple was added, glue added to a square bound book, pages trimmed, color touch, someone trying to, found a spine tick or whatever, color break it and try to color it in. And so it can blend in, but doesn't work. So color touch like that. I mean, it's anything that would deem that book not the original, that not in its original state, not in its original form, basically. And so purple labels kind of got this stigma of really not being great or not being so sought after. But there is honestly a market for purple labels. Like there is a market where people get purple labels. And I'm gonna tell you why they're not bad. I'm gonna tell you the number one reason why it's not bad. Let's really look at it. Let's look at, of course, the typical Giant Size X-Men #1, blue label. Let's say 7.0, blue label 7.0, about $700, right? About $700, wish, $7,000, give or take, right? And then we look at Giant Size X-Men #1, restored, purple label in the same grade, but it's for this much. So usually how they fair market purple labels is that they usually say it's either 50% or 35% of what the blue label commands. So you take half of that. So if it's a $7,000 book and a 7.0, then it's about a 4,000, little under 4, maybe little under 4, 3,000 something. Because I don't have the numbers right here to really dictate that. But it's in the 3,000, high 3,000s that'll make it a set equal 7,000 and a half. Dividing it by half, and that's by 50%. And so when you look at that, you really look at the condition, look at what the label says. Why did it get a color touch? Because sometimes why did it get a color touch? Why did it add glue to it? Why the pages are trimmed and stuff? And there are some things that purple restored books have that just can't be undone. Like trim books, those you cannot undo. Like trimming means that if a book has an edge that's just destroyed, bent, just nasty, you can trim it and it will be nice and clean, but it's not the original. It's not how it came originally from the press and from the printer and the comic book company. So those you lose. You lose pages, not you lose panels and stuff like that, but you lose pages. Like if you get a piece of paper and cut the side of the piece of paper and put it towards other pieces of paper, it's not the same or whatever. You can tell the size difference. And that so it's altered, permanently altered. And so that's what makes trimming and stuff like that kind of hard to really get around and stuff. And usually people try to avoid when you get purple labels trimmed books unless they did it themselves and that's just in their collection. But look at the label and look at what made that book get a purple label. Because sometimes a color touch in the right hands could be removed without even damaging the book. If you send it to CGC, they're going to cut pieces out that thing. And so there's going to be a clear difference of what that book, like what changes in that book were when you sent it to get unrestored. Like it is clear they cut pieces of that book out. And so that is unfortunate. And that 7.0 will horribly drop down to like a 3, maybe a 2, depending on how much color touch it is, stuff like that, or even the glue or whatever. But when you look at that, you kind of realize that I can get the same book in the same grade, purple label, and if I send it to the right person to get it unrestored, depending on how much restoration it is, because some restoration doesn't matter how good you are, you're not going to get that book to its original form without having to do something that's going to damage the book, honestly. If it's minimal, you know what I mean? Like I don't know. I feel like I shouldn't have to say much. It's kind of redundant. Like it makes perfect sense. If you can't afford a blue label, go for a purple of that same book. But look at the purple and see what the issue is. Because sometimes what CGC may deem purple may not be purple. Like Very Gary himself has cracked open a restored book. I believe. Actually, no. Let me not say that because I'm not 100% sure if that was him or not. But I want to say that it was. I'm not 100% sure. Scratch that. I won't say Very Gary because that's putting it on him. And I don't know if he did this or not. But let's say I've heard of stories of people cracking open purple label books and sending them into CGC without doing a thing to them. Get it pressed, get it clean, just to see if it will come back a blue label. And sometimes it does. And that goes into the grading is subjective thing. What some people deem as color touch, some people may not. And so that's manipulating the game. The comic book community isn't perfect. You know what I mean? So, there's people like that they do it like that. But I don't know if that was Very Gary or not. I definitely don't want to put that on him to say that it was him. But I remember seeing somebody on YouTube. I don't know who it was. But I just remember I don't know. Anyway. But yeah, so seeing what purple label it is and seeing if it could be unrestored in a natural, non-damaging way. If it's small color touch, it might just take a little scrape of a knife to get it out. You may get a spine tick, but at the end of the day, what would be better? Converting it to a blue label with just a spine tick, maybe the same grade, may drop low, but it commands a higher price. So getting purple labels, you can flip it, honestly, but it also depends on the grade. If that thing a 1.0, 2.0, 0.5, you stuck with that. Like there is no way to convert that into any higher grade. But your mid-grade books, your 5.0s, your 7s, your 8s, even your 9s. I've seen 9s, 9.8s of restored books and stuff like that. But again, depending on what that restoration is, it's not as bad as you think. You can definitely flip it into your way. That something that I learned when I was in the Army was always make the Army work for you. Make the comic community work for you, basically. At the end of the day, you can make that into your own gain. It's not a loss. Yes, you pay less to get it, but that book can come back a blue label and you can get way more profit off of that by just converting it. And some books are worth converting. Just depends on the book. But that is it, guys. This is just a really quick video on why purple labels aren't as bad as you think and how you can really work it into your own will and mold it into your own hand to really work for you. Thank you guys for watching. If you like what you see and you want to see more, click that subscribe button, ring that notification bell so every single time I drop videos like this, you guys are the first ones to know. Yeah, remember the golden rule. Collect what you love what you collect. Be safe and be vigilant out there, guys. See you later.